Before the forest fully wakes, the Valdivian Temperate Rainforest is already moving. Cold mist slides through ancient Alerce crowns. Condensation gathers on moss, bark and bamboo, then falls in slow drops into a world built by rain. At the edge of South America, this is an isolated biological fortress, a cold, humid maze where annual rainfall can exceed 3,800 millimeters, where granite ravines split the ground, and where Chusquia bamboo turns every path into a green wall. Here, survival belongs to animals that can disappear. A rufous-legged owl withdraws into shadow. A chucao tapaculo calls from the understory. The roots of trees older than civilizations rise above the mud like natural bridges. Then, beneath the Alerce roots, the forest reveals its hunter. A male puma lifts from cold stone, breath fading into the mist. To feed before darkness returns, he must move through water, wind, bamboo, and a broken gorge where one wrong step can end the hunt. The first thing to move is not an animal. It is water. Inside Pumaline Douglas Tompkins National Park, the southern mist begins to slide between the crowns of ancient Alerce trees. This protected wilderness covers about 402,392 hectares in Chile's Los Lagos region, where temperate rainforest, fjords, Pacific coastline, volcanic mountains, and the Andes converge into one cold biological corridor. Pumaline is also considered a major refuge for the endangered Alerce, protecting roughly 25% of the remaining population of these giants. Here, rain is not background weather, it is the builder of the world. Thousands of waterfalls descend from glaciers and steep granite walls, cutting the forest into ravines, plunge pools, and narrow corridors of sound. The landscape does not open easily, it folds inward. Granite drops into shadow. Moss swallows the edges of stone. Nalca leaves hold water in broad green basins until the weight forces each drop back to the ground. The Alerce trees stand like the oldest witnesses in the frame. Fitzroya cupressoides can reach about 45 meters in height, and one verified Chilean specimen was dated to 3,622 years by tree rings. In a forest measured by rain, these trunks measure time. Their bark is furrowed, their wood dense and durable, and their roots create elevated roads across mud that would swallow smaller steps. Only after this ancient architecture is established does the forest begin to reveal its animals. A rufous-legged owl withdraws into a dark cavity, ending its night shift before the day fully arrives. It is a forest raptor of mature native woodland, and studies of its pellets show how closely it is tied to the hidden economy below the canopy. Small mammals may supply much of the biomass, but arthropods can dominate the number of prey items found in its diet. Lower in the damp understory, a chukau tapaculo calls from the bamboo. The bird is small, roughly 18 to 19 centimeters long, but its voice travels like a territorial marker through wet leaves and fallen trunks. It is built for concealment, a ground-foraging bird of humid temperate forest, often heard long before it is seen. Above it, the heavy knocks of a Magellanic woodpecker break into the morning. This is one of the largest woodpeckers on Earth, about 45 to 50 centimeters long and 300 to 400 grams in weight. Its chisel-like bill and barbed tongue allow it to open wood for buried insects. But its work also creates cavities that later become shelter for other forest life. In the mid-story, a Monito del Monte returns to cover. Its prehensile tail grips wet branches as its small body slips into a hidden nest. This animal is stranger than its size suggests, one of the few hibernating mammals in South America, capable of reducing metabolism to around 10% during physiological dormancy. Still, the largest hunter has not entered. Below the Alerce roots, in a rocky ravine, a shape lifts from the cold stone. A breath appears first, white vapor dissolving into the blue air. Then a shoulder rises. A heavy paw presses against the frost-dark boulder. Before the predator moves, the Valdivian Temperate Rainforest has already become the first character in the story. The Puma stands. For several seconds, he remains inside the rocky ravine, motionless except for the steam leaving his mouth. The forest has already shown its age, its rain, its roots, and its cold. Now it begins to test the animal built to move through it. He steps down from the frost-dark boulder. A male puma is not a small cat enlarged by scale. It is a different kind of machine, long-bodied, heavy-shouldered, and balanced by a cylindrical tail that can measure nearly a third of its total length. In an open country, that weight can accelerate. Here, beneath the ancient Alerce trees, it must first become silent. The ground is too wet for careless movement. Moss covers the roots in thick green pads. Water gathers in every groove of bark and every depression in the soil. The puma places each paw as if choosing a word. His feet are broad, with 4 toes on the hind feet and 5 on the forefeet, spreading pressure over mud and leaf litter. The claws remain sheathed while he walks, sharp and curved, held back until they are needed to grip wood, earth, or flesh. Above him, the day continues to assemble itself. A Chukao tapaculo calls from deep inside the Chusquea bamboo understory, unseen but impossible to ignore. The voice catches in the wet leaves and breaks apart against the trunks. Farther ahead, the Magellanic woodpecker strikes dead timber again, opening the bark for hidden larvae. Wood chips fall into the moss, where springtails already move through the damp fibers, breaking the old tree into smaller forms of life. The puma does not follow the sound. He follows scent. Vision helps in the narrow openings between bamboo stems, but smell and hearing rule the darker spaces. Scent does not travel cleanly here. It hangs low, thickened by rain, delayed by moss, redirected by cold air sliding down from granite ravines. The cat descends toward a glacial stream. The water runs black between stones, fast enough to erase tracks at the edge. He lowers his head and drinks, without letting the rest of the body relax. One ear turns to the stream, the other remains locked on the ferns. Then the hindquarters compress. The leap is short but precise. His rear limbs, larger and more muscular than the front, drive him across the stream in a single controlled burst. He lands with almost no splash, tail correcting the body before the paws settle fully into the mud. On the far side, the forest narrows. A small shape freezes among the ferns. A southern poodoo stands low in the understory, almost absorbed by the green. It is one of the smallest deer on Earth, growing only to about 35 to 45 centimeters tall and around 12 kilograms. Its defense is not power. It is scale, stillness, and the ability to vanish beneath vegetation. The puma sees it, but lets it remain. This morning requires a larger return. Beyond the poodoo, the heavier scent arrives. South Andean deer, the huemul. The animal is somewhere behind a fallen Alerce log, feeding in broken light. For the puma, a deer of that size means more than meat. Across their range, mountain lions may consume over 1,000 kilograms of large prey in a year, and a successful ungulate kill can support repeated feeding if it can be guarded or cached. The cat lowers. His belly nears the wet ground. The fallen Alerce becomes a blind. Its rotting surface is alive with moss and tiny movement, but at puma height it is covered, dark wood between predator and prey. The huemul steps closer. The puma's shoulders tighten, the claws ease into the mud. His eyes fix on the opening between two bamboo stems. Then the wind turns. It comes from the gorge behind him, cold and sudden, carrying his scent through the bamboo before his body can launch. The deer lifts its head, the nostrils flare. A single alarm movement passes through the animal, and the chance is gone. The huemul breaks away into wet leaves and root shadows. The puma surges forward only once, then stops. A poor chase here would cost too much. Mud would take speed, bamboo would steal distance. The deer has won the first meters, and in the Valdivian forest that is enough. The cat remains behind the fallen Alerce, chest rising slowly. The first hunt has not failed because the predator was weak. It failed because the forest moved first. By late morning, the puma is no longer moving through the forest. He has withdrawn into the dark interior of the Chusquare bamboo understory, where the air is cooler and the light arrives broken into green fragments. The failed hunt has cost him distance, heat, and focus. Now survival demands the opposite of pursuit. Stillness. For a large predator, metabolic conservation is not a weakness, it is a strategy. A puma can afford explosive power only if it refuses to waste energy between attacks. His chest rises slowly. His ears remain awake. His eyes narrow, but they do not fully surrender to sleep. Thermal regulation begins here, in shade, silence, and restraint. And while the mammal becomes motionless, the forest changes scale. Beneath the fallen Alerce log that hid the failed ambush, the deadwood is not dead. A male Darwin's stag beetle grips the damp bark, its oversized mandibles opening like black tools built for combat. Around its feet, springtails move through moss and decaying fibers, feeding within the soil food web that helps return old wood to the forest. A vibration passes through a strand of silk. Inside a funnel web anchored between bamboo roots, an acanthogonatus spider waits. Its body is hidden, but its world is not visual. It is tactile. Every tremor becomes information. Every trapped insect becomes a measurement of hunger. Near the stream edge, a Darwin's frog holds the shape of a dead leaf. Its camouflage is almost complete. Brown body, pointed snout, still limbs pressed against wet soil. This strange amphibian carries one of the forest's most unusual biological adaptations. In breeding season, males brood develop young inside the vocal sac before releasing froglets into the world. Below the fern tips, an Aigler freshwater crustacean braces against cold current, claws raised over algae dark stone. These freshwater anomurans belong to southern South American streams, built for a life where water is both food carrier and constant force. Even the shadows have weapons. A Euryphonius forest scorpion lifts its tail above the moss, slow and deliberate, while droplets slide from giant moss leaves into the dirt below. The puma does not see all of this. But he depends on it. This hidden engine recycles the forest beneath him, turning wood, insects, water, and death into the ground that will carry his next step. The bamboo lets him out slowly. For hours, the puma has been almost invisible inside the green thicket, reduced to breath, ears, and the faint rise of muscle beneath fur. Now one paw appears between the wet stems, then the head, then the full body, low and deliberate, returning to the forest as if the failed hunt had never happened. The trail ahead is not the trail he crossed in the morning. Rain has softened it. Fallen leaves cling to his paws. The air carries a colder edge from the gorge, and every scent is heavier, dragged downward by moisture. His body is rested, but the day has narrowed around him. He does not move toward sound first. He moves toward openings. A break in the bamboo leads him to the riverbank, where the current has grown louder against the stone. A southern river otter cuts through the black water with a body made for cold rivers, long, flexible, and dense furred enough to trap insulating air close to the skin. Known in Chile as the huilin, using webbed feet and strong claws to patrol river edges where fish, crabs and mollusks are pulled from the current. The otter can turn the stream into a hunting road. The puma cannot. For him, water means weight, heat loss, and noise. A coypu shifts in the reeds, almost hidden except for the blunt shape of its head and the orange flash of its incisors. The color comes from iron-rich enamel, but the strange adaptation is hidden behind the teeth. Its lips can close behind the front incisors, allowing it to cut aquatic vegetation underwater without flooding its mouth. Above it, a ringed kingfisher holds still on a bare branch. Nearly the size of an American crow, it carries a heavy dagger-like bill built for striking fish. The bird waits longer than the puma does, motionless over the current, then drops hard, a single blue-gray plunge into black water, exactly where the cat would lose all silence. The puma keeps to the margin. He is not following them, he is reading what they reveal. The river is active, the bank is crowded, and the safest route is not beside the water for long. Farther upslope, the scent changes. A Culpeo fox crosses ahead, pausing with its reddish legs planted in the wet trail. Smaller than the puma, but not slight, the largest individuals can approach 14 kilograms, making it one of South America's most powerful native canids. It eats rodents, birds, reptiles, fruit, and carrion when the forest offers them. A survivor not by specialization alone, but by flexibility. Neither one challenges the other. There is no reason to spend energy before darkness. Under the ferns, a pudu folds itself back into cover, relying on scale and stillness rather than speed. Near the trail, a Patagonian skunk turns its striped back toward the open ground, offering a warning without panic. Its defense is chemical, released from scent glands near the base of the tail, a sulfurous boundary that can stop a larger predator before contact ever happens. The puma accepts the message. He passes on. This time, he is not searching the forest. He is searching for the last route through it. Somewhere beyond the gorge, the South Andean deer has passed through wet fern beds and bamboo shade, leaving behind a thin line of odor that the cat has been following since the light began to fail. The morning hunt was lost to wind. This time he is moving before the wind can decide everything. The fallen trunk is the only route. He steps onto it without hesitation, then slows at once. Speed would make the crossing useless. His claws press through moss into old bark. His tail extends behind him, working as a counterweight, while the gorge pulls at every step. The Puma is built for short explosive power, but here power must be folded into balance. One slip would end the hunt before it begins. He crosses in silence. On the far side, he does not stop to scan the valley. He lowers his head immediately and returns to the scent. The deer is close enough now that the trail has shape. Crushed fern, disturbed bamboo, the faint warmth of a large body moving ahead in the dark. The puma's body changes. His shoulders sink, his spine flattens, his paws land more slowly, pressing into mud instead of leaves, choosing the ground that will swallow sound. The tail no longer balances a crossing, it steadies the stalk. Every part of him is being reduced into one function: approach without announcement. Then he stops. A Culpeo fox crosses the trail ahead. It knows the language of scent, hunger, and risk. For a few seconds, the fox stands between the puma and the deer, a living interruption in the hunt. The puma does nothing. He does not growl. He does not shift his paws. He waits until the fox moves on and the bamboo closes behind it. The huemul still has not fled. Ahead, the deer lowers its head again. It has survived the day by caution, but caution is built from what can be detected. The puma has entered the blind edge of its world. No long chase now, no wasted pursuit through tangled stems, only distance, timing, and the last few meters. The cat compresses. His hind limbs gather beneath him. The muscles along his back tighten. The claws open into the mud. For one suspended instant, the animal becomes stored kinetic energy. Mass, balance, hunger, and silence held in one shape. Then he releases. The puma strikes from the side, not directly from behind. The impact drives the huemul off balance before it can turn through the bamboo. Hooves slash into the mud, ferns collapse. The deer pushes once hard, but the cat is already above it. His forelimbs lock around the body. His jaws close at the neck. The struggle breaks into short, violent movements, then into stillness. The puma remains over the kill, breathing heavily through the cold air. He does not feed in the open. He grips the carcass and drags it deeper into the chusquea bamboo, where the stems hide the body and the darkness works in his favor. Only there does he begin to eat. His carnassial teeth slice through flesh like shears, built not for grinding, but for cutting meat from bone. The first feeding is fast. Energy lost since dawn is now being returned in heat, muscle, and blood. He pauses once, lifting his muzzle. Around him, the night continues. A rufous-legged owl takes back the air. A codcod moves low through the shadow. Somewhere above, a monito del monte stirs in the vines. The puma lowers his head again. Before darkness returned, he found his kill. The puma has successfully navigated the gorge, securing its hunting ground for the night within this freezing temperate rainforest. But 3,000 miles to the north, a completely different apex herbivore relies on raw stoicism to survive an entirely frozen world. Click the video on your screen to witness the survival mechanics of a massive bull moose trapped in an Alaskan blizzard, standing in absolute silence.